I jumped out of a window as a result of undealt stress throughout the years, slowly accumulating. A common theme within my upbringing was the need to improve indefinitely. I needed to build life skills such as hygiene and finances. I needed to build social skills, learn how to talk to people, make connections. I didn't know what that was, but that was a common word used all the time. And I needed to gain maturity. I need to be the bigger person. I've experienced both good and bad teachers. Good teachers encouraged me to engage and help me reach a conclusion on my own, whereas bad teachers talk at me instead of talking with me, and they'll berate me when I make an error. I began to conform with these bad teachers, and it affected my relationship with every authority figure in my life. I didn't ask questions ever if I was confused, because I was accustomed to impatient adults. I didn't confess my errors because it would often lead with backlash. And I never shared my lament because I was told to man up. I didn't really know what that meant at the time. I don't think anyone really knows what that means. I think this world just kind of expects boys to suppress their emotions rather than talking about it, because that is seen as masculine, but there's nothing masculine about that, and all it does is make someone suppress their emotions so it can explode later in their life. It's kind of like having a teapot, and it starts out cold and gets warm, and it's hot and it's ready to be digested, but you just leave it in there for 10, 20, 30 more minutes than it should be, and it can't stay there indefinitely, so it just starts turning into molten lava or something. It's very dangerous, and I've seen a couple men in my life who have exploded, and men can be quite scary when they're angry because, they're built for battle, so you don't really want that to be untamed. But when boys aren't taught how to deal with their emotions, they become the ruthless men of tomorrow. Luckily, I've had very few outbursts, but I have had them before. It's very important for kids to listen to adults when they're growing up, but it's equally as important for those adults to not abuse their authority. If an adult belittles and does not respect a child, then that child will want to rebel. And the reason why adults do that is because they forget that kids are supposed to grow up into those adults. Here's a question for you. Have you ever been in an argument with someone and you stated objective truth, something that is undeniably true, like 2 plus 2 is fish, obviously, but the listener who you're talking to still denies it? No matter how correct your words are, they won't listen to you, they won't agree with you, they won't see you as being correct. And that's because people care more about who's saying words rather than the words coming out of their mouth. So if that person who is listening to you likes you, they will believe you. And if they don't like you, they won't believe you. That is why it's so important for adults to respect children. They don't have to treat children like they're adults because they're not, but they need to treat them like they're humans because they are. And when they belittle children, the children are never going to listen, and repeated belittling leads to rebellion. I was not one to rebel, but I did lose my self-worth because I just always assumed I was the wrong one whenever I would be confronted by adults who were like this, who were bad teachers. I thought I was the problem because they made me feel that way. This is simply a result of authority being abused rather than being used with discipline. A teacher should be a guide, not a commander. a leader, not a tyrant. I was trained to learn in silence and to never complain. For this reason, I believed that I was just unteachable, a really bad student. Whenever an adult couldn't teach me, I just assumed I was always the problem. And I believed that my complaints would fall on deaf ears or be led to severe punishment, which tended to be true, but definitely not always, because not all teachers were these bad teachers. That's why I truly believed I wasn't good enough. But I didn't jump to end my life. I chose to start a new one because I deemed myself unworthy of anything, so I chose to be homeless. But my loved ones came searching for me, and they found me, and they returned me home. And now I understand that what I've been taught over the years, over the course of 2 decades, is false. So I have a lot more self-worth, and I'm willing to speak to people now instead of jumping to conclusions and suffering in silence. And I shouldn't take the blame for the mistakes that other people make. What I want you to remember is you are good enough. There are going to be people who you have strife with, and it's not always your fault. You can control what you say, but you can't control how other people act. So if what you're saying or how you're acting is in good faith, but other people who you're talking to or interacting with will not take it well, that's not your fault. You are good enough.